Loneliness doesn't come from being alone. It comes from feeling unseen. You can sit in a crowded room, surrounded by people, and still feel deeply isolated. Carl Jung understood this long before social media, long before constant connection became normal. And what he discovered about loneliness is more relevant today than ever. This video is not about how to fix loneliness. It's about understanding it clearly, because clarity changes how you experience everything. Today, loneliness is often misunderstood. We treat it as a lack of people, a lack of messages, a lack of attention. So we try to solve it by adding more noise, more conversations, more scrolling, more distraction. But the strange thing is this: loneliness has increased at the exact same time that connection became unlimited. Jung saw this paradox clearly. He believed loneliness is not caused by being alone, but by being unable to communicate what truly matters to you. When your inner world has no place to go, it turns inward and becomes isolation. Jung once suggested that loneliness comes from being unable to communicate the things that seem important. Think about that. Not being unable to talk, but being unable to express what is meaningful. Most conversations stay on the surface: daily routines, opinions, small talk. But the deeper layers, your fears, contradictions, doubts, questions, often remain hidden. Not because they are unimportant, but because they feel risky to reveal. So the loneliness isn't external, it's internal. A separation between who you are and what you are allowed to show. Jung called this mask the persona. The persona is the version of you that functions in society. It's useful, necessary. But when you live only through the persona, you become disconnected from yourself. You start performing instead of existing. And here's the quiet danger. The more successful the persona becomes, the lonelier the individual often feels. Because applause does not reach the real self. People aren't connecting with you, they're connecting with the image, and the real you remains unseen. This is why loneliness can coexist with popularity. Depth requires honesty. Honesty requires courage. Most people avoid depth not because they are shallow, but because depth exposes uncertainty. It forces questions like, who am I, really? What do I want? What am I afraid of? Jung believed that many people fear these questions more than isolation. So they choose familiarity over truth, noise over silence, distraction over reflection. But avoiding depth doesn't remove loneliness. It only numbs it. Jung made a clear distinction between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is being disconnected from yourself. Solitude is being connected to yourself. Solitude is not emptiness. It's space. Space to observe your thoughts. Space to understand your emotions. Space to become conscious. This is why solitude often feels uncomfortable at first, because it removes the distractions that hide unresolved parts of the psyche. But within solitude, clarity begins. When you understand loneliness clearly, you stop fighting it blindly. You stop trying to fill it with people or stimulation. Instead, you ask better questions. What part of me feels unseen? What truth am I avoiding? What am I not expressing? Clarity doesn't eliminate loneliness instantly, but it transforms it. Loneliness becomes information, a signal pointing inward. And when you listen, it guides you back to yourself. Carl Jung didn't see loneliness as a flaw. He saw it as a message that something essential within you wants to be acknowledged. Clarity begins when you stop running from that message and start understanding it.